Welcome to the Voice of the Coast. I am your host, Danique. Along with me, we have Jazmin DuBois, and she is with SHLOSHA. Am I saying that right?
That is correct.
Okay, let me give that an acronym because folks saying, what is in your mouth, Danica? No, it is South Central Louisiana Human Services Authority. Got
Yes,
it
ma'am.
all in there. And she is St. Mary Parish's own youth prevention coordinator. Got all that right?
Yes, ma'am, and thank you for having me.
Thank you very much for being here. Now, they're, of course, hearing about a youth prevention coordinator and a coalition. I don't think I've ever heard that before.
Those are some big words.
Yes, very much so. So tell me a little bit about, is this the first time that we've had such a coalition put in place?
So we previously had a coalition like this before COVID, but it dissolved during COVID, and now we're able to bring it back into the community.
Okay. And so for folks who are saying, well, what is it? What is your mission?
So our mission is to provide a safe community for our youth. It's to be able to reduce substance use and promote mental health awareness for teens and young adults.
You know, at one time, I don't think this was even a conversation that people were even having, but we're starting to see a lot of substance abuse, alcohol abuse, tobacco use, and just maybe even a decrease in mental health services, and hopefully maybe an increase, hopefully because of all this, being talked about with middle schoolers. Can you throw us out some facts and figures and tell us, just how imperative it is to have such a coalition in place?
Oh, absolutely. So within the Caring Communities Youth Survey, which surveys 6th, 8th, 10th, and 12th graders every 2 years, from 2020 to 2022, we've seen a huge increase in binge drinking, vaping, and overall suicidal tendencies within our youth.
Now, one of the things that you mentioned on, I think there's a flyer that's circulating on Facebook, and we'll have that information out for you as well. The coalition, your goal is to create a safe haven. Now, coalitions, we think a lot of times is with adults.
Correct.
Will you have juveniles also a part of the discussion?
Yes, ma'am, absolutely. We plan on having a youth ambassador program that will allow our youths to have a voice within the coalition and within everything we're doing within the community.
What is that safe haven, that safe place, that safe spot? What does it look like for them?
So it looks like a place where they can express their ideals, their troubles, things that are going on with them and the community that affects them, where they won't be judged. They'll be able to advocate for themselves and their peers.
And if you don't mind, we've actually had a pre-conversation. We've talked about this just to kind of get an idea of what the coalition does and why you're so qualified. And you very well are. So if you don't mind, can you share maybe a personal story?
Yeah, absolutely. So growing up, I had an older brother who didn't have the resources that we're trying to provide to the youth in our community. And unfortunately, he ended up going to prison for 10 years due to that. And seeing that as a young girl made me realize I don't want to see other youths go through that.
And you have a lot more experience than just, being with SHLOSHA. You've also had some background with what we call drug court.
Yes, absolutely. I was a part of the adult drug court, and during that time, I saw a lot of our youth that were involved in the families, and seeing them watch their adults, their parents go through all of that and not knowing if that was the right thing or the wrong thing. So we want to provide that education to them about what they can do differently.
You said the right word, education. And I find that with education brings about hopefully some results. And typically, we used to say education starts at home.
Correct.
However, the downfall of the family can also start at home. And you've said that you guys are starting to notice that the reason why some of these things are starting as early as they are in some of these in the youth is because parents are allowing some of these actions to take place in the home. Is that right?
That is correct. So we're seeing a trend in the data stating that these youths are getting the alcohol at home with their parental permission, meaning parents are saying, in my house it's safe, versus it's not necessarily safe because drinking before the age of 15, even one alcoholic drink can increase your risk of substance use and alcohol abuse symptoms later on in life.
Wow. So I'm going to use this finger. They know when that finger comes out, I'm about to start fussing. So that means that you're allowing this to happen And you're right. Parents will say, well, this is a safe space. It's in front of me. I know what's going on. But then, of course, now you're not only looking at now the parents allowing some of these things to happen, but what about peer pressure? I know back in my day, peer pressure, was very hard to combat. How do you, very quickly, tell me, what do you suggest to kids?
Definitely be able to learn how to stand up for yourself. You're not lame just because you say no. It just means that you have another way of going about your life. If somebody, just like my mom always said, if somebody jumps off the bridge, are you going to jump off too? And that sticks around forever.
That's right. Some things never change. So
Correct.
come on back. We're going to take a short break. We'll see you guys shortly right here on the Voice of the Coast. Welcome back to the Voice of the Coast. Again, I'm your host, Danica. Along with me, we have Jazmin DuBois with South Central Louisiana Human Services Authority. She is the St. Mary Parish Youth Prevention Coordinator. And I said I wasn't going to keep saying that, but I got it, y'all. It's just rolling off the tongue, right?
You're
Like
doing great
just like
now.
that. Thank you, thank you. So, of course, we're talking about this youth prevention coalition that you guys are putting into place. Who are you engaging for, to be a part of this organization?
Well, we want everybody from every inch of the parish to be able to feel like they have a place and a voice on the coalition board. We want parents, educators, faith leaders, everybody to feel like they have a place on the board and that they're represented.
How often will you be meeting?
We plan to meet once a month to whether we need to come together to be able to vote on different incentives going into the community or to organize events.
So when you say organize events, kind of just tell me, just off the top of your head, if you can do that for me. I know nothing's set in stone, but what does an event look like exactly?
So currently we're about to vote on a couple different events, one being a Teen Wellness Day, which would involve a lot of having teens come out for almost like a youth health fair. We would have different vendors there that would have information about teen health, about peer pressure, substance use, all that fun stuff.
And I think that's a great idea. But let me ask you something. How do you also combat, this is a sensitive subject. I think we're starting to see more and more of people looking to mental health professionals. I think people are more and more open to that idea. But how do you get people to be open to the idea of coming out to such a fair? So, hey, this may not be affecting you personally, but you may be able to help someone. A lot of times I think we take these things on and we say, oh, someone's looking at me. They think it's me, oh, I'm the problem. How do you tear down those walls?
So that would come into the part of taking down that stigma of I don't want people in my business, which is a huge thing. And it's something that's been around forever. So it's a process of honestly getting the community to be okay with sharing a little bit of vulnerability.
So how do I get involved? Where do I go to find you?
So at any time, we do have a Facebook page that has my email address. You can email with any questions if you want to volunteer or join the coalition. But also at any point in time, we will be having open meetings for the community to come in and be a part of the coalition meetings.
Now I know that you're open to anybody and everybody to be a part of this. Are you also engaging other organizations that may already be in place?
Oh, absolutely. So currently we are trying to involve a couple different youth coalitions, such as 100 Black Men, things like that to be able to join so that we can be a part of their events, but they can also be a part of ours and we can share resources. Because no matter what, whether it's this organization or that, we all have the same goal of helping these teens.
Speaking of helping, and I think a lot of this comes down to education. So, as a parent or as a teacher, what are some of the warning signs to look out for?
Oh, looking out for just simply students or teens acting up, whether they've closed off to you, whether they're doing things that normally they wouldn't. If you notice that, that's definitely a trigger and a warning sign that you may want to have a conversation with them, which you definitely want to approach in a non-judgmental way to help them open up. It's hard as a teen to figure out what you want to say, let alone say to an authority figure.
Yes.
So sometimes you have to open that dialogue of, that's my friend, not necessarily another student or another kid, but I need them to feel like they can be open with me.
You're right, because I know, especially at that critical age, you mean, let's talk about middle school, because we were talking about teens, but they may not even be a teenager at this point. They may see it as, I don't want this to be another lecture. So I understand, you're right, be open-minded and understand that you too were once a teenager.
Correct.
So I think that's what we have to always tap into, that, as my grandmother used to say, or my mom used to say, there's nothing new under the sun. The only thing I believe that has changed over the years is social media and phones.
Absolutely.
So, but everything else, the conversation still remains the same. But we're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back with more right here on The Voice of the Coast. Welcome back. We're moving and grooving. We're down to the third segment. Again, my guest is Jazmin DuBois, who is with South Central Louisiana Human Services Authority, and we're talking about the St. Mary Parish Youth Prevention Coalition. This, I think, is going to be really, really, once you guys get up and going, I think it'll give not just the teens, because, I mean, of course, we want them. They're the kind of the core of this, but it'll give parents a resource. Because I know I hear something, I'm at the end of my, I'm at my wit's end. I'm at the end of my rope. What can I do? I mean, I'm doing my best. And now here you guys come, and you're going to have all this input from so many members from the community, from teenagers themselves. But what about law enforcement and the legal system? Because I'm going to tell you, I know, unfortunately, you see that officer come in, what did I do wrong? What's going on? Will I feel comfortable being able to open up to law enforcement?
Well, as a teen, as an adult even, being around law enforcement can be kind of scary. They're the end all be all of whether you're going to jail or not.
Take away my freedom, right?
Exactly. So as teens, we want them to feel comfortable. If they're not, like, we want them to feel like, oh, I'm not doing anything wrong, so I shouldn't have to be afraid. And it's also feeling like they can speak to an officer, they can speak to law enforcement, because honestly, those are the ones that are handling the situations of teens having substance use issues outside of the counseling, outside of the treatment side. These are the people that the teens are encountering when they get into school and get caught with a vape. So we have to be able to supply the education to the law enforcement about how to handle that situation, but also apply the education to the teens about feeling safe.
That takes me to my next question, because that's something, I mean, of course, let's look futuristic. Let's talk about, an ideal situation. If you could change anything about how the community responds to this, what would it be? What do you think that they need to do in order to really successfully combat this issue?
I feel like if the community can kind of accept this with open arms and accept it not necessarily as a community flaw, but as something that we can work forward to making better, including accepting the education, accepting the resources, accepting the help, which is so hard for people to do sometimes, but just to accept the help so we can make that better community, because we all live here.
Yes.
We all live in this place.
Speaking of community, I mean, we're talked about law enforcement, but doctors as well.
Yep. So we definitely want doctors on board, especially doctors that are dealing with the pediatric age, so that they're able to sit there and give those parents and those teens that education and see the warning signs, the education to be able to screen these youth so that they're able to refer them to the resources they need.
Now, I understand this is all volunteer, correct? But does this need funding?
So currently we do have grant funding, but we're always looking for different ways that we're able to put on these events. So a lot of it does come in of different resources within the community, supplying venues or space or donations so that we're able to do all this that we have planned for the youth.
Okay. So we've talked about all the issues that, these teens face, and, drug use, substance abuse, tobacco use, mental health issues as well, or concerns. Of the four, what do you think is the greatest that you guys are really trying to combat?
So honestly, when it comes to our youth, they're all equal in the importance, but we're wanting to be sure that we're affecting the substance use and the alcohol use so that we can improve the mental health aspect also. They all tie
That's
into each
right.
other and affect it's like a row of
Dominoes.
dominoes.
That's right. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if one falls, they're all going to fall with it.
Yeah. And I just really wanted to mention that because, I mean, no one issue is greater than the other. But if you start off with this, then everything else
It
will.
affects the whole shebang.
Yep. And it affects the whole community. So, all right. We've got one more segment to go. You guys come on back right here on The Voice of the Coast. Well, welcome back to the Voice of the Coast. Again, my guest, Jazmin DuBois, and we're getting right back into it. I think the coalition sounds like it's off to a great start. You have, people who are actually interested, and they're giving you feedback already. If they want to continue giving you feedback and say, hey, this is what I think, or this is what I'm having an issue with, who do they call? What do they contact you?
They can contact me directly. I am open to any calls or emails from the community. My number is 985-855-6111, and my email is jasmine.dubois@la.gov.
Awesome. Right now, I mean, I know you're going to be meeting with folks, but right now, someone's watching and saying, I am having an issue right now with my junior in high school. I don't know what to do. I'm starting to see things. I see the warning signs, and I want to help. What are some tools and resources you can give right now?
So some of the resources that we have on hand at any point in time, if it is referring to mental health, there's the 988, which is the crisis center, which you can call 988 at any time, and they have someone available to speak. There's also St. Mary Behavior Health. That is a great resource when it comes to counseling or substance use. And also, if you look at the SAMHSA website, they have a Talk, They Hear You, and it provides resources for parents to have conversation starters, but also resources on how to get your teen help.
Okay, great. Um, Another question. I think obviously educating the parents, educating the youth. Do you actually seek additional education? Like, I mean, because things are always changing. What about training for you?
Oh, absolutely. I'm a big conference girl.
Okay.
I absolutely love new education because the world changes at a rapid pace, and we have to keep up with it in order to have the correct information, the correct resources at all times.
And what role does prevention play when it comes to at least eliminating or reducing crime amongst juveniles?
So prevention is taking care of the problem before it becomes a problem. So you have to think of it in the sense of I'm going to handle this today and not tomorrow when it becomes a bigger issue.
Okay. So what's next for the coalition? When's the next meeting?
Our next meeting is May 20th at 4 p.m. at the Bayou Vista Library. I invite anybody to come out to be able to voice what they think the community needs or any suggestions, or if they would like to join the coalition, I will be there.
Okay, awesome. And how big do you think this coalition could get?
So it can get rather big, but I'm
Okay.
hoping by splitting it into subcommittees to handle certain things that we'll be able to keep everything under control.
Awesome. Well, it sounds like you have everything covered.
Thank you.
Yes. So you just need the folks to show up.
Yep, that's all I need.
Okay, one more time, give me that contact information.
So the phone number is 985-855-6111, and the email is Jazmin, Jazmin, .dubois, DUBOIS, @la.gov.
What about social media? Are you guys also online?
We do. We have a brand new Facebook page that at least 3 times a week you'll see me post on it with different tips for parents, for youth, and information about any upcoming events.
So if you can, just kind of give me one example of some of the feedback you've gotten so far.
So far, I have gotten 3 concerned parents to join the coalition, and they think it'll be a wonderful thing for the teens of St. Mary Parish.
And and lastly, this is the last question for you. We've looked again. We talked about educating everyone who's just. I mean, you are a touch point for teenagers, but what do you hope will be the outcome of this?
So I want to be able to see these families have a healthier environment and want to see teens feeling like they can step up and speak out about these issues instead of it being such a sore subject and being something no one wants to touch.
Right. Well, thank you so much, Ms. DuBois. Appreciate it.
Thank you
All
for
right.
having me.
We'll see you guys next time. Y'all take care.